Hi everybody, today I'm going to be doing a review, or I guess more appropriately an overview, since I helped make this new hourglass silhouette long line underbust from Timeless Trends. So I really hope you like it. Here's the front, side, back, and the other side. Hi everybody, super quick side note, I looked back at the footage and realized that it was making this bowing shape in the back here. And so I wanted to show you again with me actually pulling the back taut so you can see what the true silhouette is like with the waist completely shut. Now I did contact Timeless Trends and they are going to be sewing the bones in the back a little bit tighter in the channels, so hopefully that bowing issue wouldn't be a problem anymore. So let me do this one more time. So here's the front, the side, the back, and the other side. The center front of this corset is 13 inches long, and at the princess seam from under the bust down to the lap is 11 inches long. So it's actually a very tiny bit shorter than the previous long line underbust. And at the side seam it's also 11 inches, and then in the very center back it's 13.5 inches long. Today I'm wearing a size 24, so it's 24 inches at the waistline, obviously. And the new ribcage circumference is 30.5 inches, and the iliac crest is about 31 inches, while the lower hip is about 36 inches. So for the new hourglass silhouette, the dimensions are a rib spring of about 6.5 inches larger than the waist. Iliac crest is about 7 inches larger, and the lower hip here around the lap area is about 12 inches larger. Of course, this is with the hip ties closed, so if you need a little bit more spring, you can obviously open these up for comfort. By contrast, the original Timeless Trends longline underbust had a rib spring of about 2 to 3 inches and a hip spring of about 6 to 8 inches, so you can see that this one is dramatically curvier. We designed this corset to be more cupped in the rib cage, so you can see it when I'm standing right in front of you. You can see it on the side seam here, but also if I do a quarter profile, you can see that it's also slightly more curved here as well. So if you were born with a more protruding rib cage, or if your rib cage is very rigid and you find that you can't really compress it down to suit a more conical rib shape, or if you do swimming as a sport, or if you play a brass instrument or something that has caused your rib cage to expand and you don't want to compress it down again, then this may be a good choice for you. However, if you do actually want to train your rib cage down into a more conical or tapered shape, then you might want to choose a different silhouette compared to this one. We also drafted the hips to be a little bit more cupped as well. So if you have very high square hips, you can actually open up the top of the laces and bring the bottom edge inward a little bit, and it will give you that room for your iliac crest, but it can also pull in the lower hips if your hips are naturally square shaped. So here is the longline underbust laid flat, and for the material, the fashion fabric is a new style for the long lines. You might have found this familiar because my very first Timeless Trends corset was the standard length in this same fabric here, and now they're introducing the long line in this same fabric, so I'm really excited. But this one is not out yet. It might be out at the beginning of September, but don't quote me on that. And like all Timeless Trends corsets, the fashion fabric is fused directly to a layer of twill, and then there's another layer of twill on the inside there, so it's technically two strength fabrics. Turning this corset on its side, it has a 6-panel pattern, so 12 panels total. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And you can see that we added a lot of space for the front of the ribs here, and also quite a lot of space to cut the ribs on the side as well. We also added a little bit more space in the back to help combat some of that muffin top. And for the hips here, we made the front panels taper a little bit to help control some of that lower tummy pooch in the front. And then it curves outward on the sides here to give a nice curve over the hip here, and it also curves a little bit over the back so it doesn't push down the bum as much. Like I mentioned on my tie-line video, because the corset patterns were sort of draped on a person, we accounted for some lumbar curve, we accounted for some of that muffin top in certain areas, obviously the cupping of the rib cage, the curve over the hips here, basically accommodating for a skeleton. So while the flat pattern and the shape of the panels are a very strange shape, when you put them all together, it makes a very human-shaped corset in the end. So for the construction, it's constructed the exact same way as all the other Timeless Trends corsets in that they fuse the fashion fabric to the twill, as I said before, and then they assemble the first basically layer all together from panels 1 to 6, and they do the same for the lining here, and then they put them together and anchor them down at each seam and stick the bones in between so that they are sandwiched between the layers. And if you look at my Thailand video, you can actually see an example of a corset being made, and you can see the various steps involved. You can see the faint outline of a waist tape running through here. It's 1 inch wide, and it starts right here at the center front here by the busk, and all the way back to the back grommets there, and it's sandwiched, so it's stitched invisibly between the layers. Here's a close-up of the binding. It's made from bias strips of matching green satin here, and it's machine stitched on both the outside and the inside. You can see that on the outside it's sort of stitched in the ditch right there, and then on the inside you can see it has that small lip. What's different about the garter tabs in the old corsets versus the new ones is that in the new ones there are 6 of them, whereas in the old ones there are only 4. So now they're also selling the garter straps in sets of 4 and 6, depending on which style of corset you buy. And for the long line corset, since it has this slit by the side seam, I asked for 2 of the garters to be set in the front and 1 in the back, so that if you have any lower tummy pooch or anything, then at least you would have more tension from the garter straps to keep that front nice and flat. There is no modesty panel in the back of this corset, but Timeless Trends has started selling stiffened modesty panels that you can purchase separately. Right now it's in black or white, and I've been talking to them about adding some other colors in there. But the modesty panel that you can get is stiffened. It has bones in it. I believe it's 3 or 4 layers of fabric, and you can suspend it on the laces with grommets, or you can just quickly tack it onto the laces using little Velcro loops. So that's very convenient if you want to quickly take it put it on or take it off, and switch them out if you want to use it in different corsets without having to unlace your entire corset. But for all the new Timeless Trends corsets, they will all have this 1/2 inch wide Modesty placket by the knob side of the busk right there. The busk in this corset is 12 inches long, and it has 6 loops and pins, all equidistantly spaced. It is a standard width, 1/2 inch wide on each side. It's a little bit flexible, but they also put this 3/8 of an inch wide flat steel bone right beside it to help stiffen it, and it ends up being fairly sturdy. There are a total of 26 bones in this corset, not including the front busk. So it's double boned on the seams with 1/4 inch wide spirals. You can see 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, double that for both sides. And then in the center back here, there are flat steel bones, about 3/8 of an inch wide, sandwiching the grommets. And like I said before, that other flat steel bone right by the busk. Here's a close-up of the grommets. There are a total of 28 of them, 14 on each side. They are about size 0 with, I believe, a small to medium flange around them. They hold in extremely well, actually. Despite how narrow the flange might look in comparison, they hold in very, very well, and they all have a lifetime guarantee anyway, so if one falls out, you can just have it exchanged forever. And you can see in the back here, it has the bones sandwiched on each side, whereas if you look at this side slit here, the side hip ties, it has the bone running through on this side, but it doesn't have a supporting bone on that side. That's because it's presumed that you're not going to be tying the hips quite as tightly as you're going to be tying the back. So you're not going to put too much tension on it. It's presumed that you're going to be using these ties to actually let out the fabric and add more ease as opposed to adding more tension. And here's just a quick view of the underside of the grommets, so you can see that they do use a washer. These grommets roll really nicely. They do have a few splits in them, but I noticed that they're split in such a part that they don't actually catch on the ribbon laces, which is fortunate. And like I just said, they have the ribbon laces. This is 1/2 inch wide, single-faced satin ribbon. You can switch these out to a shoelace if you want to, and I laced it with the inverted bunny ears here to give it a little bit more tension at the waistline so it's easier to lace up. The Hourglass Silhouette Longline Underbust is the same price as the original Longline corsets, which is $119 US, and it might go up from there depending on the quality of the fabric or the popularity of the style. And it's for sale on my website right now, and also on the original Timeless Trends website, so I'll put the links in the description below. And this concludes my showcase of the Timeless Trends Hourglass Silhouette Longline Underbust. So I really hope you liked it and you learned something new. If you did, please remember to click that like button down there and help support the channel. And if you have any questions about how exactly we designed these new corset patterns or the conditions of the Timeless Trends Factory or anything else, I do have a Thailand adventure video that I posted last week. So I'll put it at the end of this video, at the end card. And yeah, if you have any questions, feel free to leave a comment down below and I'd be happy to get back to you, and I will see you all for the next video. Bye.